Hello and welcome back to the Limitless Potential Show. I'm your host, Vanessa Jane Patrick, and today we have the one and only Bill Hytner. Did I get your name right that time? Because I've messed it up quite a bit.
You got it right, and
Okay.
gotta like the accent.
I love it. I love it. So today, really exciting show. I've been really excited about getting Bill on the show with you guys because I get to bask in his amazing energy every month in the Limitless Potential Academy. And today we're talking about trusting in life and developing self love through intuitive guidance and a great sense of humor, which I just had to chuck into the title because Bill certainly has that. And so I would love for us to just kick into gear with you introducing yourself to our amazing audience today, Bill. So tell them who you are, where you're from, what you're
Okay.
passionate about, whatever comes to mind.
Okay. I'm from the United States. I'm from Long Island, New York. I'm a certified financial planner and business consultant. I own my own business.
Mhm.
For decades, I've been teaching people how to become millionaires and how to run their businesses successfully. And that's how I've made a majority of my living for those years. I still do it on a smaller scale. I've sold 80% of my business to my partner. And so now I just manage 10 families and a couple of businesses.
Mm.
So I'm looking to transition to doing something else with all
Uh-huh.
the free time that I now have. Um, you know, so that's what I do. So now that I have more free time, when I say I'm a business consultant and a financial planner and all, I do all that work pro bono too for people too. I run into people all the time who are starting businesses or want to get into investing, and I'm not really interested in managing small amounts of money and all. So I take the time and teach people how to do it, how to do it for themselves, or if they're going to somebody else, the questions to ask. So that's what I do. That's my biggest passion, helping people reach their financial goals. And, once you have financial freedom, then you're free to pursue all activities that you'd like to, have interest in and like to do. That's how I live my life.
Mm.
Um, that's why I've um, ranged my life. So now that my business takes up less amount of my time, but I've been doing that for a long time, over 20 years, because once the phones and the iPads came, there was no need for me to be in the office anymore. So now
Yeah.
I could be out on the golf course, I could be traveling, I could be on the beach, and
Yeah.
my clients don't care whether I'm sitting in my office and or whatever I'm doing.
Mm.
So I've been living my how people live in pandemics for the past year. I've been living my work life that way the whole time. I rarely go into the office. I have an office, but I rarely go in. I have no need. I have staff. They take care of business,
Yeah.
and so that's my life. I have a good life that way.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
any other questions for me?
Yeah, I've got a ton. I've got a ton. And I know
Do
that
you,
sorry, go
uh,
ahead. Okay. So
no, go ahead.
I know that like last time we connected, you were coming from live from a yacht, right? Like you were celebrating the Super Bowl from a yacht. You were having to, you
Oh
know,
yes,
you have a lot of freedom to,
yes.
live your heartbeats in and do what you love.
Oh yeah, but it wasn't like oh, I just woke up one day and my father said, "All right, here's all this money, go live your life." My life really didn't start that way. It actually started with nothing, like most. I don't know, like most people, I guess. My journey began, from a very rough upbringing. I was in an abusive household.
Mhm.
I must have cried myself to sleep seemingly for years.
Mm.
Um, and then, one day my life changed when I'm just sitting, lying in bed, crying after a spanking. And I just blurted out a question like, why am I being treated like this?
Mm.
And the most amazing thing happened. A thought came into my head and it said, it's not about you. It's about them. You're going to go on and do great things in your life.
Mm.
And I have to say, when I heard that, I took it and I ran with it. It was like the most profound thing that anyone had ever said to me, because basically I thought I was worth nothing. That's the way I was being treated. So that set off an entire journey. It was like, I don't think I've stopped moving since, quite frankly. Um, so from there, it was like, all right, I got to get out of here. And so my entire, gosh, from age 12 until I left the house at 17, I worked any job. I would had a paper out at 12. I worked in factories. I delivered on beer trucks. I painted. I mowed lawns. I did anything for money, and I always saved like at least half of it because that was like my escape plan. And then when I got a little bit older and I came to high school, I had older friends because um, back in those days it was nowadays, if you were in, say, 12th grade, someone would go, "Oh, I'm not playing with a ninth grader. I'm 12th grader." Well, back when I was growing up, you could play a sport. You could play your sport. Nobody cared how old you are. So like the major leagues, the guy's 30, the guy's 22. Nobody cares. He plays the game. And that's how it was when we were kids.
Mm.
So I was a good athlete and an amazing bowler. And so I had older friends,
Mhm.
um, and so that was a good thing for me. And so like we played sports all the time. Uh, didn't have to be home; I was able to be out of the house all the time.
Mm.
So these people, were older. They were in the high school. So then we got into running the football gambling in the high school, and that's where I made a lot of money in high school, and that was really where I got all my money for escaping.
Yeah.
That and a comic book collection,
Uh-huh.
which I had a friend whose his uncle owned a comic book store, and so I was taking my money and investing. It was like any fad that comes, whether it's like Beanie Babies, sports memorabilia. Well, at the time, it was these comic books, and
Uh-huh.
so they were telling me, which ones to buy and which ones to hold. So instead of buying stocks back then, I was actually buying comic books, and I didn't read comic books. I didn't really care much for them. But the thing that interested me when I was thinking about this was I would open the comic books, and the last two pages were little ads. You know, I was
Ah.
like attracted to this marketing, and they were like ads for like rubber throw up, rubber dog poop, um,
Yeah.
X-ray glasses. Like what 12-year-old doesn't want X-ray glasses to go to school with, right?
Yeah.
So but it intrigued me, all of this stuff.
Mhm.
And I put it in my head and I go, man, I can't believe somebody's making money selling rubber throw up. I got to learn how to, do this marketing stuff. You like where like rubber throw up. I said, I could come up with something, you know? So, so that was in my head, but so that's what my interest in the comic books were. And then when the time came, like I graduated high school and the next day, um, 6 months earlier, I had sold the comic book, it bought me a new car. So I had
Wow.
a new car, a new Camaro, beautiful car.
Yeah.
And I graduated high school. The next day, I packed all my stuff in brown paper bags, my clothes, my bowling balls I took, my tennis racket, some books, and that was it. I left, and I didn't tell nobody. Nobody even knew I was leaving. And then
Mhm.
I'm walking up the stairs to leave, and my brother goes, "Where are you going?" And I said, "Look, I'm going to Florida. I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm leaving today. I'm leaving right now, actually." And I said, "You got to do the same thing.
Yeah.
He was 2 years behind me in school. I go, when your time, you do the same thing. Get out of here.
Yeah.
So he did
Mhm.
also, and we've been on a parallel journey ever since.
Mm.
So that was, my first touch with where I recall, learning about intuition, receiving these messages about marketing
Mhm.
um, when I was just a little kid like that. And so, then I go on, I go away to Florida for 3 years and work on my bowling tournaments. We bowling tournaments in the weekends and play tennis during the week. And I started taking some college courses, like one or two, just because I knew I would eventually go to college and I had some free time. So I went to a school called Fort Lauderdale University. It's like, it was like, it was accredited. That's all I'm going to say about it. But
Okay.
I got credits and they were transferable, but I never heard of anyone that ever went there before. Fort Lauderdale University, some beach college, small. So, but I did that because I knew I was eventually going to go, and I was like, I got some time. Let me do this, right? So then 3 years later, I come back, um, and I enrolled in college. I went, checked out this school. I knew I wanted to go to school for economics because I had an interest in, well, I'm great in mathematics. So I used to look at the Wall Street Journal and I saw all the numbers, and that always intrigued me. I go, I have to learn more about the stories in here so I could put the stories to the numbers.
Mhm.
So that was the reason I went to college. And what'd you go for? It wasn't even to get a job. I wanted to learn how to read the Wall Street Journal better because I knew I wanted to invest in stocks, right?
Yeah.
So I do that. I go there, but I go to the school. It's the only school I ever looked at. Didn't go on like a 10 school tour. And the first thing I did, I went to student union and they had a bowling alley.
Mm.
And I go, that's it. I'm at the right place. And then, I went on to have, a really good college bowling career. And um, then the next, 5 years made over $250,000 bowling
Wow.
in tournaments and all. And it was all non-taxable back then. It was like real money. I was living,
Yeah.
because after I left that school, I went to graduate school and got an MBA. And now when I came out, it was like I had all this working capital, but I wanted to work on Wall Street. And I guess I was naive at the time. I didn't realize I had to go to an Ivy League school
Uh-huh.
to get a job. They won't even interview you unless you were from, Wharton or Harvard or something like that. And the school I was going to was like Verizon, Philadelphia Water Company. I'm like, I ain't doing that. I didn't know why I came to school. I didn't even have to come to school to get that job, except that's what they're looking for. That. Um, so I said, okay. So I bowled another 5 years supporting myself. And then I was like, okay, let me use my human capital that I have. The economy's turned around and all. So I took a corporate job for 2 years, and for those 2 years, I was studying. I needed 8 courses. You need 8 courses to get your to become a certified financial planner, and they're like 8 graduate level courses. So while I was working this job, I was like, well, I'm going to take these courses because when I come into the business, I have experience. And so, like, if I'm going to ask you to give me all your money to manage, well, I have no experience. Well, how long have you been doing it? Well, yesterday, you know? And so I said, let me get the top credentials in the industry before I get into the industry, you know? So that's what I did. So I'd automatically have credibility.
Mm.
So then I had to learn, okay, how do you get customers?
Yep.
Right? So that's everybody who sees the success in my business. They go, "Oh, I want to do what you do," and I always say, "Well, how are you getting customers? Nobody gives them to you." So that always stops people.
Mhm.
So I came up with an idea that I'm gonna do. I came up with. I don't even know if things are my ideas anymore. I get ideas all the time,
Yeah.
subconsciously. Um, that I'm going to become a seminar marketer. And now I'm going to go out and do financial seminars.
Yeah.
So I have this seminar, Financial Strategies for Successful Retirement. I have to do, this is now before Facebook and all that kind of advertising. Now I have to put together a flyer, a mailing to send out. Uh, so I had to put all that together. I had to mail it all out. Um, and I started doing it. And at the time I was like, all right, I'm putting all my money into this business, you know, because I'm doing these seminars, and all these seminars, it costs a lot of money to do it if you're not getting money back from them. So anyway, like, and so I start doing these mails, old school marketing, and it brings me back from the marketing. I started looking at in the comic books, And now I'm here. Now I have to do my own marketing here, come up with all the seminar. And so I put that all together. I get a partner, somebody else in the business. I didn't know a little about insurance and stuff. I needed, and it was a seminar where you come for 4 weeks, one night every week. I teach you 8 hours, 2 hours a night. And people were paying me not a lot of money to come, $79. Um, and uh, and then at the end of the seminar, you could get a free consultation, and that's where I would get clients. I put together financial plans and get clients. And so that was the start of the business like that. And so I had to now all of a sudden now I have to be a public speaker, and I was no different than anyone else. I would like, I didn't want to, public speaking, but I had to. That's what I had to do what I wanted to do. And I remember the first, few seminars I would do it. I had a script I had put together, and I'm up there talking, and so I'm like trying to think of the script instead of just talking, and I'm going. You stall. You go. Um, you like to stall. You say the word. To get to what you thought that you were looking for. And so when you go see people now who speak and you see them doing the you go, oh, they don't know public speaking, right? So I'm doing that, and then I finally realized after like a month that I didn't need a script. I know all this material. I just had to go talk and do my ad lib and my whole shtick and blah blah blah, be me, right? So then all of a sudden now I could be a public speaker, but to do that, that was like a big deal just to go, okay, now I'm a public speaker. And now I'm speaking like these seminars were crazy successful. Right away, I'm making over $300,000 a year. Um, 3 years later, 600,000, so more successful than I could have ever dreamed of, and uh, and so I did it for a few years, the seminars, because like with all businesses, competition, people see what you're doing, and they want to come in, into that same business. So I knew that would happen, but I was on the forefront. So it didn't matter to me. I had 5 good years run. I saved my money. Like, I'm getting checks, paycheck, 40,000, 50,000, $30,000. I've never seen that kind of money, things like that. Really, people who work really don't see that. And so like a couple of times I would even just go cash it. I'd make them give me 30, 40 grand in $100 bills just so I could see it. It was like tangible because it would just go from there to the bank, to, like all electronically done. I wasn't even getting to, throw it on the bed, whatever, So, so that was very exciting, and, that it was like crazy, and that's how it's going. And so and then the competition comes in. That's why in business these days you got to move quick. And so what happened then was I was like, well, now accountants, they wanted to get into they would give us referrals, and we work with their clients. They wouldn't make any money. But then the CPA board said, well, now accountants could get paid money for doing stuff like that. So I'm like, oh, great. I got a country club. I'm going to do mailings just to accountants and get all accountants to show up at a golf club, give them the pitch, get accountants to work with me. I teach you, I get clients, we split fees and stuff like that. And so that was like another 5-year gold mine that nobody was involved with in my industry. And then really since then, I just have managed my own clients and worked on referrals. So it was great. It was great. I mean, and so now I sit here today, and not one point of any of those years that I ever thought I was working. So it was, and today it's like, well, I would be managing my own money, but things changed along the way too. Like one day, I'm sitting in my office, and this is really something that really changed my life and took my life to a level that I didn't even know that was possible or think about. And was I'm sitting in my office, and I get a phone call from my brother, and he says to me, "Hey, look, he had started a business down in Virginia, Washington, West Virginia area, and he had been working as a consultant, where if you had a business and you wanted to get government contracts, well, you don't know how to do it. So you would hire somebody, they'd do the proposals, know how to process the work. So he knew all that. So he was like, well, I have an idea. I'm going to start my own business and I'm going to get my own government contracts. So anyway, so he started that business. And then he calls me one day and says, oh, this contract, it's late in paying us. I need $91,000, by tomorrow to do the payroll. Otherwise, I don't have the payroll. And so could you help me? So I said, I'll tell you what. I said, I'll give you $125,000 and you give me stock in your company. I just give it to you. You just give me stock. Whatever stock you think that's worth, I'll take. This way you do your thing, I'll do mine. Because I was becoming so successful. I was getting all this money and it was like, oh, here, yeah, you want to do your thing? Yeah, take this money, and help you do your thing. So, and then like a few years later, he calls me up and he's like, I need help. I go, this is growing so much. It's getting overwhelming. I need your help. I need to do political fundraisers. I got to set up events. I need your counsel on some business things. I need your math skills. And so I said, no problem, because this was at a time when like technology was changing and I didn't have to be sitting in my office. So I said, no problem. I go, I could come down there every week. For whenever you need me, I could come down. It was just in DC. I'm in New York. It's 25-minute plane ride, right? So, so anyway, so we're doing all that. And then one day he calls me up. He goes, do you want to come to lunch at the Capitol building with Congressman Young and his wife, Beverly? And I'm like, yeah, sure. I go, I've never done that. Back then, it was still exciting to do stuff like that. Now I'm so cynical about politicians and spending so much time there. But I was like, yeah, that sounds great, So, it was actually exciting to meet somebody like that. So we go down. I go down to lunch. We have a nice lunch, and Beverly goes, "You guys want to do me a favor? Bill has to go vote on some stuff. Could you give me a ride over to Walter Reed? It was a military hospital, and this is now in the 2000s when it's literally filled with wounded coming back from Iraq, mostly a little Afghanistan, but mostly Iraq, all broken in pieces and all. And it was the most horrific thing I've ever seen in my life. And it reminded me, I think the reason why I was lying in bed being hit was to learn what pain and unhappiness feels like. Because when I saw those people, I got even right now, it gives me like goosebumps on my arm. It was so horrific. And I understood how alone that you could feel lying in a bed. It was like, that was the lesson that I was being taught back then, because, they said I'd go on and do great things. And so when we left there, me and my brother, we had like an hour and a half ride back to his home. So we had to drive. We didn't say a word all the way home. It was that devastating. And so we were just sitting in his office at home. And I go, are you thinking what I'm thinking? He goes, what are you thinking? I go, like, we can't sit this out. We have to do something to help these people. And we have all this wealth at the time. My brother's business at this time, he was making $12-15 million a year with his business, and I'm making all this money. I go, we got to do something. We can't sit this out. We can't sit it out after what we saw. So that moment led to an incredible thing. Started putting together all kinds of charitable functions like concerts, and we would invite all the families of these people and whatever ones of them that can make it out of the hospital to come and see a concert. We started military night in Washington. At the NBA team there is the Washington Wizards, and the hockey team is the Washington Capitals. And we started military night there where we'd have 2,000 military people come to the game. This was before it became something to put on your resume for people to say, look what I do for the military, buy my record. And we weren't looking for anything. And then I start we doing this, and now I'm starting to meet like congressmen, senators, Secretary of the Navy, Secretary of Defense, presidents, and we're just doing that. And then, to this day, we became friends. But I know one of the owners to the Washington Wizards, and he would give me all kinds of deals on the tickets. I don't know, I was paying like $5 or $10. He would give me a skybox for congressmen, maybe Secretary of the Navy or the Defense to sit where it was easy for security reasons. I had no trouble getting people to help me, right? So we were doing all of this, and we're getting all this recognition, and it was really good for his business, the exposure, because people weren't doing this. So that opened like so many doors to where, the next thing, I guess we get invited to the Republican convention in New York. And I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. We work with both sides there. So when I say that, it was just that was the timing. It could have been a Democrat. It would have been what the Democrat one. But we went there, and it was like VIP stuff. Like, we have a big van. I have 2 New York detectives. I have the congressman. Everywhere he was going for those next 4 days, me and my brother, we were going everywhere. So much to many lobbyists' surprise, because he was always late, I was always on time, and now they're standing there talking to me, and I got nothing for you, pal. I'll take some more caviar that you have there, but that's what it was kind of like. So like in one day, this is like one day of this. When I say this, like people have different lifetimes. Like, so the morning at breakfast, we're in New York, so we're having breakfast at the New York Stock Exchange, and we're going to ring the opening bell. The congressman, me, my brother, we're going to go do that opening bell they do every morning. So we go do that, and then later that day we have lunch with the mayor of New York. It was Bloomberg at the time, and it was a big affair at the mansion in New York for the mayor. And so we're sitting at the table, and this Congressman Bill that I'm with, very powerful because he was chairman of the Appropriations Committee, and has luck had it, the highest ranking Democrat on that committee. So if they took power, was also the one right in the district where my brother's business was. So we always had like the chairman of the Appropriations Committee. Yep. Don't ask me why, but this is what's going on. It's all happening perfectly. Everything's aligning perfectly. And so, then we're sitting there at lunch, and I'm sitting at the table. Here's Bloomberg, whoever the Republican head of the Senate was, his wife, 2 other senators, and the congressman sitting next to me. His phone rings, and he goes, "The salad just came to the table." And his phone rings. He picks it up. He answers it. He turns to me and goes, "Hey, you want to go meet 2 presidents?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay." He goes, "Okay." He goes, "We have to go. Lunch is over. I have to go. I have to go meet the Bushes." So we get in this Suburban, and now they have special lanes in New York with cones for VIP while the convention's in town. So no traffic. You just drive through the middle with the cones are all there. Right? And so we go on this aircraft carrier, the Intrepid, and this is where they're going to be. So we're there, and we get on the ship, and you drive on. It's like a museum. What people don't know is totally refitted, and it's actually an emergency hospital in case there's another 9/11. It's all there. And he goes, "All right, let's go in here." We go in there, and there's President Bush, the one who was the president, And I was like, you go in, hello, shake your hand, what are you doing, blah, chit chat, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So we do that, get a picture, and then we come out, he goes, okay, he goes, why don't you guys, he tells us, my father's coming in. He was the previous, it was two presidents before him, maybe, Bush Senior,
Mhm.
41, 43, two presidents before him. So we go out on this aircraft carrier there, and his car's going to be coming in with all the Secret Service and all. And the congressman's I'm with, goes, want to come out and meet him? I go, okay. And because everyone else was staying up here on the balcony, I go, yeah, okay. We had security with us. This guy, he goes, here, wear my pin. I didn't know what he meant, but I said, all right. I put on my suit, a little pin. So I'm standing there. This big limo comes in, and Bush walks out, and he walks over. The congressman's there, and he comes over. He introduces me, shake his hand, and he sees the pin, and he goes, oh, you're a paratrooper. And I had changed the subject. I go, oh yeah. I go, like, I like anything with in the air. I didn't know what to say. I didn't even know what the pin was, because he's a jumper on his birthday every year. Even though he was 90, he was jumping out of a plane, the guy. And I was making small talk about jumping out of the planes and all. Blah, blah, blah. So that's how I met those two. So that's that. So then we leave there, and this is all one day. So we leave there, and now we're going to Yankee Stadium, and we're sitting in with George Steinbrenner in his box,
Mhm.
the owner of the Yankees, with Brian Cashman, the general manager, and that's where we're watching the game. So then that's over at like 10. So we leave there, and one of the people with us, Bill Jr., the congressman's son, who's like 20, he tells me, hey, I snagged us three backstage passes. The Texas delegation is having a Kid Rock concert at some ballroom. I forget the name. So that's where we're going tonight. So, so now we see the show, we're drinking, and now we're backstage, doing what rock stars do, drink and smoke pot and stuff like that. Right. And so that was like one day, you know, and this is like stuff that all came from charity,
Uh,
doing the charity,
yeah.
you know. And then let's see, gosh, where do we go from there? So anyways, fast forward a little bit. I'm just trying to see if fast forward, business sold down there for over $200 million to IBM. Um, I had stock. My brother had most of the stock.
Mhm.
Uh, you know, just two guys lying in bed and getting beaten. We figured out how to get all the way to that point. At that point, so that was pretty good. And so then at that point, then I reduced my business to a level that freed up my time so I could pursue, golf. I like to paint. I like to photography. I like to work out. Uh, I love to travel. I mean, one of the beauties of the business that I chose, when you're successful I could write a book on all the places I stayed and all the amazing things I did on somebody else's money. I didn't have to spend my own money. Like seemed like the more successful I got, the less I had to pay for. Uh, I would say, like, I stayed in every fancy resort hotel in North America on somebody else's dime in my business for,
Mm.
just for being one of them wanting me to sell their stuff. It was like, and then I added in my own vacations. Like, I traveled like every month I was on the road,
Yeah.
so I love it. I
Wow.
love it. So now I'm here now, and
Mhm.
uh, along the way, I would always say, when we talk about intuition, I would say, all along this way, I'm doing so many things I've never done before. Like, oh, here, run a fundraiser, do this, do that. I've never done these things. But all I would have to do is, I had myself, my brother, we had a couple other people, that would give the work, some of the stuff to do to help out. And the ideas I would just sit there, and I'm telling you, the ideas would just come. So what does it mean to what does it mean to be intuitive to me? It means that uh, have the ability to uh, immediately understand something without having any, like, I didn't have to read a book. I didn't have to study. I didn't have to access. It's just there. It's like I'm a conduit for whatever information that I need. Um, it's the craziest thing. I'm going through my life while I'm doing all this. I have, like most people, who are intuitive, and many people are intuitive and don't even know they're intuitive, and I was one of them. Most people are like that. A lot of people are like that. Where I literally would say, I have the most amazing analytical skills. I could just think of a problem and I get an answer. And I'm thinking I'm the smartest person in the room all the time. Meanwhile, as my life goes on, and I realize I have an ability to access uh, unhuman sources. Let me say it that way. You know, um, and it's not that I'm a. I have to say, I'm not a special person. That it's possible for everybody. Everyone could do it. I could tell you some things you have to do and have to understand, simple things. Uh, but I had some of it all along because it was like, you know, the first time I went to a psychic, I was probably like 13 years old. I had a paper out, and one of my customers, she goes, the new people moved on. She goes, new people moved in across the street, but I don't think you're going to get them as a customer because if someone moved in, I would try and get them as a customer. As long as I'm walking by your house, I might as well drop off a paper and get paid, right? So, I got to walk by here. So she goes, I don't think that person's going to be your customer. I go, why is that? She goes, he's a psychic. He probably doesn't need a newspaper. It was funny. I remember saying that to me, it was like so funny. So I said, okay. And so it turned out, like 6 months later, I just knocked on the door. I found out his name. His name was George Anderson. And I don't know if you've ever heard of George Anderson, uh, but currently today, if you wanted to do a session with him, it's over $2,000 for the hour
Wow.
to talk with him.
Yeah.
And he'll connect you with whatever. And so when I did it, I knocked on the door. It was $40.
Uh-huh.
It was almost a week's paper route money, but like I was curious, So I went, but I didn't really know what to ask. And at that time, most of my relatives that I knew, they were still alive. So it wasn't like, oh, how's this person doing? How's this person? They were mostly alive. So I didn't even really know what I was doing there almost. I just had a curiosity. And one of the things that he was doing when he was there, he would do, and he'd make this circular motion with his hand when he was going where he had to go. Um, and then it was like, I'm going to say 10 years later, I went to another psychic who was like a disciple of his. And I had some questions then because I went through this period of time where, like, I want to say like 6 people died in like a 13-month period,
Wow.
right? In my life. And like, now all of a sudden, like, oh, like I'm the oldest one in the whole family, I'm the oldest one. So I was just curious. So I went again, and he was doing the same thing, the circle. So, everything's circular, all energy circular, everything goes in a circle. That's what I know from that. I think that way. It's sort of like if I'm, let's say, I have my business. I have a golf tournament coming up. Uh, I'm helping somebody with this business. I always think of in a circle, and like I'm that little proton going around. You want to keep that proton and the neutron moving around the nucleus. You always got to keep things moving, moving. So that's how you can do that. That's how I always visualize things. I'm keeping this moving. I got to get here. I got to keep moving. I got to work something towards that. You got to keep it moving. And it's like I can't devote all that time to that. I got to put some just to keep that thing moving. Um, and so that's how I think like that when I'm working on things. And, you know, I would say that how I found out that I was intuitive. Well, first, like I said, I'm going through life, and I'm realizing I have some psychic abilities uh, that another thing, going back to a child, I would stay up, I had no adult supervision back when I had a TV, and from like 11:30 at night to 1 o'clock, I would watch this television show, Johnny Carson. He's a very famous talk show host. and he would have this guest, the amazing Kreskin. I don't know if you know him. He's been doing this for like he's like 80 something years old. He's a mentalist, a psychic, magician, and now he's like 80 something. I go, oh, I got to go see that guy. He's playing here on Long Island in a small theater. I got to go, right? So I go to that. I'm all excited. I'm all open. And he does this thing where he goes, okay, they pass out a piece of paper and information for his websites, but on the back was blank. And he goes, I want you to think of a number. It's an odd number, I'll tell you that, between 0 and 49, and write it on the back of the paper. Okay, so I did. So I write 31. Okay. And he goes, all right, now I'm going to do an even number. Give me an even number from 50 to 99. So I write down 62. So there's about 250 people there. And he goes, well, if your paper says those numbers on it, stand up. So there was like 8 people who stood up who had gotten both of those numbers correctly, right? So he invites us up on stage, right? And so he's a hypnotist too, right? And so he was doing this thing, which we could do with our group one day. It was where he starts off with, if you just lock your fingers like this, right, and you stretch out your arms like this, and I tell you, squeeze really tight, and I say to you, oh, you're never going to be able to open them. If I'm telling you, you cannot open them. Even now, I say it's like hard to pull apart, right? So that was the power of suggestion. So then he goes, this is where I bowed out, because I was on a cruise one time and I saw this hypnotist as part of the show, and he had people on stage jumping around like chickens, So I remember that, and I go, oh, I'm being embarrassed here, right? So he says to people, and I just played along. I didn't try and get in a hypnotic state. And he goes, when you wake up, there'll be a little kitten at your feet, and I want you to pick it up and start rubbing it. And my God, 4 people bent over, picked up an imaginary kitten and started doing this. I'm telling you. So, but I guess my point was, I learned I had my psychic abilities were right there on display, and so I knew all that. So, and then talk about like, I almost want to say, the universe finally said, all right, this guy keeps patting himself on the back so many times of how analytical he is. Let's tell him what's going on here, right? That he's not alone. Yeah. So I'm going on this vacation and I go, and like I said, I go, let me read a book. I'll bring a book. Everybody reads books. They're all in college at the time, that my nephews and nieces, they're always reading. I go, let me bring a book. So I go on the internet, and of course I pick a book on money, my field, and I scroll through like, money equals freedom. And I go through and I find this book, which I probably have on the shelf here. Let me just grab it. Mm-hmm. You can see it, but it's called Money Matters, right? You can't really see it, I don't think, right? So I have this book, and I get it. It says on creating the vibrational energy of wealth in the economy. So that is something like, I've never, I've read so many books in my field, but now this is coming at a totally different way. So, and I go like, see, look, it's not that big. Won't take me long to read it. So I get this book, right? So it turns out, the author, she actually lives in the same town I have my office in, and only 10 minutes from where I was living. So, I contact her and stuff, and it turns out, she's a psychic, a medium, has a whole business helping people become happy using their intuition and all. And so she went on and she taught me how to use my intuition and how to develop it for like 4 years. Wow. Because I had time, and I was very interested in how it all worked and how to get a better understanding of it. And one of your questions is what do you know, or what do you say that other people think are insane? Yeah. That you're insane? That, well, when I tell people, I could contact souls that are already been here and gone, you know. So that's the one thing that people think I'm insane, but I know that's not the case. So, and and the only testimony that I have to that is that, well, look what I've done, you know. And I tell you how I'm telling you how I did it with, I didn't wake up with all this knowledge. I not yeah you know when like we talk about an interest in marketing, so I, as a child, with the comic books, and then I got older as a teenager, I wanted to, like, when I was leaving just about out of high school, I was thinking of that mail order business, because now I'm leaving and I got to do something. But I didn't really have the capital or was the maturity to do something like that at that time. At least I didn't think I did. So that's all that I had to. I didn't think I did, so I didn't. So, but that all stayed with me. Oh, I forgot where I was going. I forgot where I was going. It's lost my mind. Must be time for a drink.
Well, I want to say, Bill.
That seems like a lot of talking.
Well, I mean, yeah, you've conducted this interview perfectly well on your own. And I'm so grateful for everything that you've shared. Oh my gosh, like I've written so many notes and so many questions, but I think I'd take a week to ask you. But what I do want to bring it back to, a couple of things that I could hear maybe the audience wanting to know a little bit more about is basically, because
Okay.
you expressed about having such a challenging childhood, right? And no, you didn't have somebody in your life in a physical sense saying, hey, like you can do whatever you want in this world, and you're great, and building you up in that way. And it took a really dark moment in life for you to ask that question, right? Be forced to ask that question. Why are they treating me like this? Why am I being treated this way? And to have that revelation and that first connection to something, I feel, bigger than just yourself, or bigger than the fears, and bigger than what was being presented to you as to who you were, and the value that you have as a human being, to wake up to, hey, you're here to do big things, and that's not about you, it's about them. That is just so massive, right? And I want to ask you, because to have an experience like that and to trust it, right, and to believe that, I want to ask you, because I know you've had a tremendous journey with self-love, right? Because having a traumatic experience in childhood, that then you awoken to, hang on, like that's about them, that's not on me, and reestablishing that love for yourself within, and from whatever you'd equate that to externally as well. What advice would you give to others who maybe they're stuck in the past? Maybe they've been treated really poorly in their lives. Maybe they've never had somebody in their life, building them up in any way, and believing in them. And maybe they've never had that voice, or maybe they have, but they've not trusted it. What would you say to those people about, getting beyond the experience and building that self-love?
Okay. So what? First off, what motivated? What changed me was just having the knowledge that if I don't do this for myself, nobody is. Like I could have just wound up at 17 homeless
Yeah.
if I didn't take control of my own life. Um, I wasn't going to have a life. Um, and I think, anyone else who is in a position like that, um, to love yourself, like, putting yourself first. When I say sometimes, oh, these things, it's not selfish to put yourself first. I go, look at it as, what do they say when you go on the plane? Put your oxygen mask on first, and then help the child next to you. They don't say do the child, then do you. It's the same way it seems in life. So when I say put yourself first, um, it's like when you're doing that, if you think that's being selfish, it's not. It's like you're going to be a better mother. You're going to be a better father. You're going to be a better son. You're going to be a better by doing that because you're going to have more respect for yourself. Um, so that's very important that you have to put yourself first. If you're doing things, let me tell you, like there's always going to be people who like if you're thinking, oh, I want to go in this business, and everybody I say, they go, oh, what are you crazy? Well, let me tell you, there's nobody who started a business who people didn't say, oh, why would you do that? Oh, what do you mean? You went to school for this. Why aren't you doing that? I mean, you experienced that too. And I would say to people, oh yeah, I just done an MBA. I had 6 years of college, and I go, oh yeah, I'm bowling for the next 5 years. I know that. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's how I'm doing. People go, are you crazy? You went to school and all this. And I'm like, well, I'm going to work for myself. Nobody's going to care that I have a 5-year gap on my resume because I'm not going to use my resume, for anything because I'm doing my own business.
Yeah.
So, how do you develop self-love? You hear that all the time, well, just improve your self-love. Well, the first thing is to understand, I think when it comes to that is that you certainly, if you feel like you're self-love, you're lacking self-love and want to improve, you have to say to yourself, I'm worth it.
Yeah.
I am worth it. I am. You know, I'm me, you. I'm no better than anybody else, and nobody else is better than me.
Yeah.
It's all right there. You're worth it. You're worthy of life.
Mm.
You know, um,
Yeah.
I know. Sometimes I hear it and it just says, "Oh, sounds so easy. Oh, just love yourself." Blah blah blah. You know, but my journey wasn't like overnight. I mean, I started as a kid and, it's still going on now, decades later. Um,
Yeah.
it takes time. It's sort of you know, like when I say, oh, I teach people how to become millionaires. Well, I just don't say, oh, here, go do this internet business and in 6 months you'll be a millionaire. You know, I go, in my case it was the same way. I had a backup plan. If I put X amount of money away each year, by the time I get to this age, I'll have $1 million and I'll have some financial security. Only because I know I'm working for myself, and if I don't take care of my own retirement, nobody else did. So, so that was always the plan there, and everyone should have that plan. What I'm going to be in business, I want to be a big success and all that. Hey, that's great, and you go, but but it's also, you got to say, well, let me put this money away. I have to have like Plan B here that I know, with compounding and Rule 72, I know I'm going to be able to get to where I want to go. Besides this, and then when you're successful, then you have both,
Yeah.
and even more. So, I mean, that would be probably like I would say like the first step is you have to know that you're worthy.
Yeah.
That you have to believe that.
Mm.
When and then to actually be intuitive. I mean, the first thing you have to do, right? Even if it means uh, letting people think you're insane. Uh, you have to suspend doubt. You have to really believe and understand that your soul is eternal,
Mm.
and that this time on earth is such a small part of that journey.
Mm.
It's just it's a small part,
Mhm.
um, and that you came here for something. The
Mm.
miracle that brought you here, whatever it is, not always easy to figure out, but one way to figure things out is just follow things that interest you. Like, yeah, I'm sitting here saying, look, I'm looking at a comic book. I'm not reading. I'm looking at the ads and the marketing. Why wouldn't one day I'd be a marketer, um, and but that's what I was going to say before. Like, so
Mm.
I did that marketing, and then I thought about that other marketing, and then I said I had to learn the internet marketing because I was helping someone with their business, and they wanted to get into the internet, and I was like, I go, yeah, I'm curious about that too. So I said, don't worry about it. I'm going to learn all about it. I got the books. found, Brendan and Jeff Walker and studied under them and knew everything about internet marketing. And I thought I was going to use it for this business. And then it didn't work out that way. And I'm like, okay, well, I've put away stuff like that before from this. So I'll just use it at another time. And then when I was transitioning out of Washington, a really interesting story, a little bit. Now I'm on another tangent, but oh boy. So, I'm going, so now the business is sold. Uh, People are dying. Other people are leaving that I know that I was working with down there. Um, I go, okay, I need something to transition from the charitable work and something to use this internet. And then, a few weeks later, I get a call, veteran company, all soldiers, wounded soldiers, disabled soldiers, had a company. They were in the flag business. Um, could I help them out? Help them out. So all the marketing that I learned, the Facebook stuff, used it all. Went from $900,000 of sales to 7 million in 16 months.
Wow.
Right. And 10, right. I know. It was like perfect. They were in the sweet spot of where the culture was with the patriotism, the veterans. It was a perfect spot. It was perfect. And then all my connections in Washington all fell into place. It was like the universe was working through me. That's what I could tell you. I'm telling you, everything went like click, I need this, click, click, someone would appear, this person, that person, blah,
Yeah.
everything, It was the most amazing thing. And 10% of those profits go to the charities that I was working with. So it was like, I left there, I got to use all that information. I set up a legacy of charitable donations going there. It was like the most smoothest, most beautiful thing I've ever did. So anyway, so I get that book and I met this woman and I'm training with her. And first I meet her, which was funny. I just said, oh, she goes, oh, you want to meet up? And I'm going, she goes, I have this thing in the city that I do every month. You want to come? And I go, okay, how do you get there? And she goes, oh, I drive. I said, oh, forget it. I get us. I get us. I get a train to get there and I get us drive to take us home. Right. So we did that. And like for 4 years, she trained me how to do all this stuff. And it's really like mind blowing what I could do, and information that I can access and certain people that I can access because I'm really like, I feel like when I did this project, I like 5 years ago, she writes in the book, the infinite wisdom of the universe flows through Bill and it shows. That's what she wrote, in the book to me after, a couple of years. And, to where like I'm just a conduit and like recently now I'm like I removed so much things from my life. I'm sitting there going, I'm blocking them out because I'm blocking my guides out because they're like, come on, like
Yeah.
we got more stuff to do here. I almost feel like I was hanging out with a bunch of them and they were like, all right, you go down this time. And they're there with all this stuff for me to do. And they're like, come on, we still got this list here. You're not done, And so I'm just waiting and I want to get physically feel a little bit fitter because this pandemic I haven't been able to go to a gym. So I had work out at home. So like, I don't feel like I'm a trained athlete right now, although my resting pulse is 48.
Wow.
So anyway, so I did all that with her, and I don't know. Life has never been easier. I've never been happier. I'm feeling not alone. I can access this all the time. So if you want to learn how to do that kind of stuff, like I said, the first thing you have to do is you have to accept that your soul is eternal. I mean, when I don't know how you don't. I mean, if you have any belief in that mediums are talking to souls on the other side. There's so much proof of that. How can you not believe your soul is eternal too, right?
Mhm.
And then, the second thing is you really got to believe that you're worthy. You know,
Yeah.
you're as important as everyone, and everyone's as important as you. You
Mhm.
know, and then the third thing, the key thing, like you can't get the message watching TV. You have to have a place to quiet your mind,
Mm.
right? And I know a lot of people, spiritual people like that. A majority of them use yoga and meditation
Yeah.
uh, to access eternal. Um, I don't do that. I can't sit still like that. I walk every morning. I go for a walk. I have a state park close to me. I go walk for an hour every morning, and then I'm alone. You know, one of your questions was, "What do you do when you wake up?" The first hour. Well,
Mhm.
coffee, toothbrush. I'll take my phone. I'll just do the scan to see if anybody's not read anything. Just scan, see if anybody's looking for me. And then I just go for a walk, and I'll just think about what I have to do that day, or if I really don't have nothing to do, I just whatever we feel like discussing that morning. you know,
Yeah.
uh, and that's how I quiet my mind. I know. That's how I quiet my mind.
Mhm.
I do that. I go
Uh-huh.
walk in the morning, but I could sit here quietly and access something.
Yeah.
Some of them are so they're like right here. It seems like I
Mm.
don't know. So, um, but you know, the more, but if you become, the more intuitive you become, you become the authority of your own life.
Mhm.
I don't have to ask you
Yeah.
anything. I don't have to say, "Oh, you think that's a good idea?" I know it's a good idea. I wouldn't have it if it wasn't a good idea. You
Mm.
know, uh, that's how I look at it. When it came to me, I'm not sitting here thinking of bad ideas. Um, so that's how I go through my life intuitively like that. And so I know you're a person. You spend you read like crazy amounts. If Yeah, I'm sure you've read more books in the last year than I've read in the last 10. And you know what? I can access information on anything that's important to me without having to read the book.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm.
the little things that I'm working with. I can access information. Not that I'm I had to do the internet. I had to go, and the process of having someone teach me is a little easier than me learning it. I'd rather have someone who's already good at it teach me. And the same reason why people should use your services,
Mm.
because you're good at it, and you care.
Mm.
And that's why people should use you to help them. uh, I'm a big fan of using experts, and you're certainly an expert. So people should use your services. um,
I'll pay you later for that, Bill.
mm, okay. What? Oh, was that a commercial?
Yeah, I think
Oh no,
I'll pay you.
it's actually I verbalized it. It's obvious.
Oh.
I just verbalized it. It's obvious if you're looking.
I
You
appreciate
know, I've seen many, many, many people um, get into this type of business of life coaching, personal coaching, and gosh, you're in the top 5% talent wise of everybody. Maybe top more higher than that of
that.
people that uh, are attempting to do this, because all of a sudden, like, this is like a big growth industry. And I rather people come to me. I'm fortunate enough where I could do things for people for without charge,
Yeah.
right? um, but I certainly wouldn't go to somebody to help me with financially who's not even financially successful. you know Uh,
Exactly.
so like people are like out there just calling themselves life coaches, experts. What have you accomplished? Like with very little accomplishments on the resume side, except I'll be a life coach. It takes a special talent, and you have it. And,
Oh.
it's rare.
Mm.
So
Oh,
Um,
so appreciate that.
okay, now I just got to say, let me see, is there any one other? Okay, okay. So, like I said, like if you have to accept that your soul's eternal,
Yeah.
and you know, and a lot of times when I say, oh, people are intuitive and they don't even know them. I was one until I met this woman. I just thought I was the smartest guy in the room. I
Yeah.
didn't even realize it. Even though like I'm going to a psychic, and throughout my life, and it's nothing's hitting me that, yo, you're not alone here.
Yeah.
We're showing you, look, we let you pick 11 winners in a row, on the betting, we we give you all these riches. Like, what are you doing? Like, wake up, we're here. And so, but
Mm.
so but like when people like go, I'll give you an example. Like it's like, we've all experienced like some kind of deja vu, right? Where you go, I've been there before, and you get like a little like panic mode, like, whoa, what was that? I was like, you were taken out of this time and place, and you over here all of a sudden, and then you like do this panic thing where you can't even remember. You wish you stayed there to get the second half of what happened.
Yeah.
Well, when you're intuitive enough, you can I can open that up and get the whole story. I don't, that's what it's kind of like. You're picking up on that energy, and everything creates energy. Like we're sitting here and we're creating this energy, and this event that you're doing here is going to be out there in the universe like that, and someone's going to hook up into it and with the deja vu, and it doesn't even have to be somebody that was watching it. I can connect into energies of things other people did just because of the vibration that it was. And the same thing, just because you get a deja vu, it doesn't have to mean that was your thing. But you know how I remember it would be like something you go, whoa, like that, like you do that little,
Yeah.
oh, that was that, what's that, so that's what it's like, except you stay there and you can so everybody is little, and so all these things like how far along you are doing it, it's up to you how much work you have to do, but it's all possible. I like I said, uh I don't have theories. Maybe I've been here so many times as a soul in so many different lifetimes that I picked up so many things and I have these skills, but I don't even know that I've been here past, but so I don't know why I came here and I had some of this more like advanced and of those areas than somebody else. Maybe it's because I'm a believer. I'm always, how many nights have I was lying just in the quiet in my room, by myself, like being able to quiet my mind. Maybe
Mm.
that's why I say anyone could do it. Maybe that's the reason why, because I was just lying there quiet and I was
Mm.
lying, um,
Mm.
like say, not even understanding it.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
So, I mean, everyone could do it. But you have to do the work. It's one of those things. It wasn't like, oh, you know, I, and there's a whole bunch of. I'm not going to go into here all the different exercises that I did. But you do have to have those beliefs. You got to believe your soul's eternal. I mean, you got to believe you're worthy, and
Yep.
you got to quiet your mind.
Mm.
Start doing those, and then after you do that, I'll give you the next step. What I these things, as you start going. Is anybody listening to me out there? Give
Yeah.
me a sign that
Uh-huh.
you hear me, right? So
Mm.
I would do that. I was a skeptic, and I would say to you, you know, I would go to the park, right? And I would go to this park and I walk there every day, right? So my guides are so funny. When I go there and this is the first time I go, why don't you guys show me some signs, right? I'm telling you, I didn't even realize they're literally pointing out every sign in the park. Don't park here, don't walk, like stop signs. It was like they were being funny. Like, you want a sign? Here, we have like 50 of them for you, right? So I have very fun. They're very funny. Uh, so, but I would say that all the time, and I would ask, I just, all right, I'm not alone, right? And I would be, show me a heart. I can't see, but I paint. I have all kinds of heart paintings in this place
Oh,
here.
are they
So
yours?
I'd say, oh, give me a sign, right? And
Uh-huh.
yeah, see, so I would go, all right, give me a sign. And then I'm going to show you some pictures. Like I don't know if people can see that. See that? The
Yeah.
cloud, heart shape, right?
Mhm.
In the sand,
Mm.
heart shape. In the sky, in the sky, on the ground, snow. Look at that snow shaped like a heart with little hearts around it. So, so that's the next step to see that you ask for some signs,
Mm.
and be aware. But you have to quiet yourself down to do all that stuff. I'm quiet, walking in the park, doing this. Whether you meditate, yoga, whatever it is that you can do. I would sit. Oh boy, I would sit sometimes for an hour just in a dark room with a candle, just staring at it, emptying my mind. You
Yeah.
train. It's sort of like you train your mind.
Bill,
Okay, young lady.
this is amazing. Oh
I
my
think
gosh. Yeah.
it's
Oh,
your
what are
turn to
you
talk.
doing? Oh no. Well, I want to
What?
say, like,
What?
I would honestly keep you here all day if I absolutely could. But I can't. But I want to say there are so many different elements that I feel you could dive into with us. But those four now key elements that you shared, I think are just so perfect. I'm definitely giving this a deeper go. And I know I want to get into people have been dropping comments as you've been talking as well. So I'd love to share those comments with you. And
Okay.
but I just want to reiterate for everybody, what Bill has just said in order to tap more into intuitive guidance and build that for yourself. And, Bill's just given you such a great example. And I can't believe you managed to squeeze so much of your life into this short conversation. But just to show you and highlight the power of, building that intuitive connection to that guidance, and, through those steps that Bill outlined of accepting your soul as eternal, believing fully that you're worthy, having a place to really quiet your mind, and then finally, as you're building that, to ask, give me a sign, and be open to hearing what you hear and seeing what you see. So that's amazing, Bill. That's been so immensely valuable. I'm so appreciative to you and the human being and the soul that you are. I'm so grateful that our paths have crossed, and I'm excited to continue that journey in your life and mine. And yeah, and beyond, who knows, right? Like, if our souls are eternal.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
yeah, I want to start wrapping things up, and just wanting to ask if you want to go. I know you had some questions for me. So do you want to squeeze them in, or will we go straight to comments?
Oh, I have some questions for you.
Okay.
Is this your lightning round?
Well, I don't know.
Is that where we're at? Right, your lightning round?
Yeah, you mentioned something. Like,
I have questions for you.
okay, let's do
Are
it.
you
I love
ready?
questions. Yeah, hit me.
All right. All right. You've been in Facebook jail twice in the last month.
Yep.
If the next time they put you on death row next time, what would your last meal be?
Oh my gosh, it's so good. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, if it is on death row, I think my last meal would be, in Facebook terms, probably a conversation that I'd have to have on Facebook. So if right before it, if they give me one last moment to talk, I might have to talk about free speech and owning your own platform, I guess. But if we're going food
Okay.
wise, that's too.
Are you?
Go ahead.
This is the lightning round, young lady.
Okay, let's
We have
keep
to rapid fire.
lightning.
Are you better at giving presents or receiving?
Oh, I'm really good at receiving, and I love giving presents. Like, I love it. So I'd have to say equally. I wouldn't, neither are, yeah, I'm
Okay.
great at both.
Um, where would you like to travel next?
I'd actually really like to travel to the US next, even though I've been there many times. But I'd love to get to connect with all you beautiful souls who the majority of you are in the group. And of course, my new partner who I've never met. He lives in the States. And so we're kind of separated, creating a relationship online during COVID. So, yeah.
Oof. Good luck on that one.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one. What was the last Halloween costume you wore?
Ooh. It was, I think it was actually a oh no, that wasn't Halloween. The last Halloween was actually I went as Xena warrior princess because I loved her when I was growing up.
I could have guessed that. Dark or milk, dark or milk chocolate.
Oh, I like all varieties of chocolate. I like white chocolate, but I eat dark chocolate because it's healthier.
Okay. And I'll give you one more
Uh-huh.
because you're a fashionista. What is a fashion trend you are really happy went away?
Oh, that's a good one. Because I don't follow fashion trends. I follow what feels good to me. But I would say the 80s, like big baggy shirts, like, and big tracksuit pants. Like, I just wasn't into that. That's not my style. I'm glad that's gone. I love it. Well, I appreciate
Okay.
you turning the
I'm
tables on me.
I'm gonna stop there.
Okay, good. I love it.
I'm gonna stop there.
Okay. I appreciate that,
I'm
Bill.
done.
And I want to,
I don't have any more questions.
okay, good, good. I want to just get to say hi to a few of the people who have joined and their comments. So I want to say hi to Hassani and Judy and Nas and Dill and Bri Guraj and Gina and Katrina and Abdul and Simon. And Abdul says it's emotional attachment that matters. I think when we were talking about that childhood growing up, he mentioned that. And Sabahia and Michael and Enrico and Jose and Michelle says, "Hi, Bill. I am honored to know such an enlightened soul. Always enjoyed our talks. Hope to see you soon. Stay blessed." So that's Michelle Jones. What another beautiful soul going on there. And
Okay.
Hassani says, "Fascinating background, unbelievable story. Reminds me of a lesson from the Karate Kid. If you put out good things into the world, good things will come flowing back to you." Beautifully put. I love it. Awesome. And
That's the
yeah,
energy of money.
aha,
That
boom.
is the energy of money.
Hmm.
If you think it's scarce, it's scarce.
Yeah.
If you think it's plentiful and you're a good steward and you share it, more just comes. The more you give, the more you get. I'm
Hmm.
a big believer in that.
Beautifully
Yeah.
put. Awesome. And Simon says, what's next for Bill? Love it. Listening into the universe and going with it tells us, and yeah, the signposts are always there. We just have to look. Yeah. Love it. Well, yeah, you're waiting.
Exactly.
You're kind of putting your
What's
guides
next
off
for
right
me?
now.
I Yes, I have I have some things I want to take care of first.
Yeah.
Get through this winter.
Uh-huh.
But I'll turn my attention that way soon.
Okay. Love it.
Soon.
Well, we'll all be tuning in to
Soon.
hear
But
from you.
right now,
Uh-huh.
yeah, from a yacht near you.
I love it. It's awesome, Bill. And Phil's in the house as well. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in and joining us for this amazing, just really a talk from you, Bill. I just want to honor you and acknowledge you for the phenomenal soul that you are, for the wisdom that you hold and share so openly with everything that you do with such heart and genuineness, and your energy is totally infectious in such a brilliant way, much better than the COVID infections, right? And you bring so much to our beautiful community. I absolutely feel so honored to have you a part of the Limitless Potential Academy and hear your perspectives and your wisdom and everything that you share on life's journey with all of us. And I'm super grateful that you were open to coming out and stepping out from behind the scenes a little bit and sharing more of your journey and your wisdom with the world. So yeah, and I know everybody listening has been getting a ton of value. I've been seeing the love hearts go off in on the Facebook Live. So so much love for you, my friend, and I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Actually, is that right? Oh no, I know. Well, not yet. Okay, all right. I got a bit ahead of myself. Love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You sick of me yet?
I love it. Well, thanks so much for joining me and for joining all of us. And
Well,
I look forward to seeing you soon.
thank you. It was a lot of fun, and love to you and everybody listening.
Thanks, Bill.
It was great. It was a
See you
pleasure.
soon.
Made my day.
Made mine.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Okay.